How does one cultivate sincerity in worship and everyday actions according to Islamic teachings? Beautiful question. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Sincerity is probably, not even probably, sincerity is the most important concept, spiritual concept, for a believer to develop and to imbibe. There are many ways that we can think about this. From the Quranic perspective, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. They have not been commanded, وَمَا أُمِرُوا, they have not been commanded, إِلَّا, except لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ, to serve Allah, to enslave themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ, sincerely, devoting themselves to Him sincerely. From the hadith perspective, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, actions are only according to the intentions. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى, and each person will only receive what they intended. So, of course, we've discussed the concept of intention and sincerity at various levels on this platform and elsewhere. But right now we are asking about, so how does one cultivate sincerity? There's a few things that we could do, very practical things. The first is study Aqidah, study Islamic theology. Earlier on, I recommended the study of what Muslims believe and why, which was a study of Shaykh Ahmad Dardir's Kharida al-Bahiyya, available once again for free on seekersguidance.org. It is a entry level, a beginner level of Aqidah study taught by Shaykh Faraz Rabbani. And this text, as entry level as it may be, it is a profound awakening for anyone who has not yet studied classical Islamic theology. There's a world of difference between the person who is Muslim because they were reared as a Muslim, they were raised as a Muslim, they were born into a Muslim family, and their parents instructed them to be Muslim, compared to that person who either embraced Islam because they realized Allah and they embraced Allah in their lives, or they were Muslim, but while being a Muslim, they actually became a Muslim, right? They truly embraced Islam. They were perhaps Muslim by name, but not by nature. If you want a profound experience like that, as far as your belief in Allah is concerned, there's no shortcuts. Studying Islamic theology, studying why we believe in Allah and what we believe about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, if you can't answer that question right here, right now, does Allah exist? Why do you say so? How do you know Allah exists? What are your proofs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists? Do you just believe? And while that's okay, you can say, I just believe, your iman is fine. There's a big difference between the person who says that and the person who says, look, I've studied and I know the proofs. My thinking has been based upon the rational evidence, the textual evidence of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala believes. So your belief becomes firmer and unshakable. So that's from a theoretical and study perspective. Then, about sincerity in worship, a beautiful piece of practical advice that I once heard from Sheikh Fadil Suleiman of the Bridges Foundation. He said, to develop sincerity and free yourself of ostentation, make sure that you have more private deeds with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that only you and Allah know about than public deeds, right? So make sure that that which you do in secret, that no one but you and Allah knows about, outweighs that which you do in public, that your family knows about and your friends know about and your community knows about. And if you can manage to do this, it will give you a sort of a head start in terms of sincerity. Also, in relation to building up sincerity in worship and everyday actions, according to Islamic teachings, you find the ibadah of fasting. One of the explanations of the hadith in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bihi. Fasting is for me and I will reward for fasting. One of the explanations offered by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah ta'ala is that while all deeds are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I mean, who else do we do our good deeds for? We are supposed to only do it for Allah. Allah specifically says fasting is for me and I will personally reward for it. Because unlike other deeds, you cannot truly fast with ostentation. If you think about it, like, how do you show off about yourself fasting unless you actually deliberately tell people, I'm fasting, or you behave in a manner that would give people the impression that you are fasting? But you could be lying about fasting. So when you do, and of course we are speaking about here, nafil fasts, right? Supererogatory fasts, because in Ramadan it's expected everyone is fasting. But if you're trying to build up sincerity, try to engage in private deeds, secretive deeds like fasting and like praying tahajjud at night. This will, inshaAllah ta'ala, develop your sincerity. So make sure your private relationship with Allah outweighs your public relationship with Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.